Hey guys, welcome back to Benham Brewing's channel. Those of you that haven't been here before, we do product reviews, tutorials, and we have a live chat feature on our website to help you through Brew Day 911s. We're actually doing it live today. We've got an exciting brew day today. We're anticipating it being about 2 hours or so. Definitely give us a hello in the chat if you would. Let us know where you're dialing in from. We would appreciate it greatly. Before we get into it, let me do the introductions. For those of you that don't know, again, my name is Brian of Benham Brewing. One of my favorite people in the world that's with me today and that's really helping to support this live stream is Christy. She's always helping to support. And we have a very special guest today, Trong from Homebrewer LAB. We're going to be brewing on his Pot-Au-Brew system. We've got everything heated up and ready to go. And so let's bring him in and introduce him. Trong, can you hear us?
Hello, everyone.
There you are. How you doing, sir?
Happy Easter weekend.
Yeah, Easter weekend. A good weekend to be brewing. The weather's been so nice.
Yes. So you see me okay? I have the system set up. I have the Pot-Au-Brews. I have a number of Pot-Au-Brews, and I actually brew this porter last week, and I'm ready to show everyone how it worked out. I have to tell you, it tastes wonderful. It's really a good porter.
Kristen brewed this up on her system a couple of weeks ago, and it came out really nice. So we're very happy. So let's kind of get started with the brew if you're good with it. Let's go ahead and go over the recipe real quick if we could. We'll go ahead and throw that up on the screen for those of you. Hopefully those of you that are brewing with us got a chance to look at the community post and got to get the ingredients. This is a little bit different method than you're probably used to from Pot-Au-Brew, but there's a lot of good benefits that come with it. So let's go through what we're going to do today. So we've got our specialty grains crushed. We got 3 ounces of chocolate malt, 3 ounces of Crystal 80, and 2 ounces of a Carafoam. And as a quick disclaimer, this is a 1.5 gallon batch. So this may be a little bit smaller than you're used to, but it makes brew days go by pretty quick. As far as the extract goes that we're putting in there, we've got 1 pound, 14 ounces of a light dried malt extract and 4 ounces of wheat malt. That'll give it a little bit of body. It'll be very nice. And then as far as our hop schedule, only 3 hop additions. We've got 0.17 ounces of Galena, which is a 13% alpha acid. That's for a 60-minute boil, followed up by a 0.07 ounce of Cascade. That'll be a 30-minute addition. And then the final addition, 0.07 of Mount Hood, and that's at 5 minutes, so right before flame out. And that should make a pretty well-balanced beer. So we're definitely excited brewing this again. Trong, were you able to get everything gathered up together for your ingredients for brewing today?
Yes, I got. As I said, I got everything ready, and I brewed it last week, so I still have a lot of stuff left.
You're ready to rock and roll.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with our steeping grains.
Really quick, I just want to say that we have our first comment, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing this, but we have Geir from Norway.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Geir,
wow.
I hope if we mispronounced your name, I apologize, but thank you for joining our stream. We appreciate it. I don't know if you're familiar with Trong from Homebrewer Labs, but as we brew today and we're going through the steps, this is a good opportunity to kind of shout out any questions you have, and we're happy that you joined us today. Thank you very much. That's exciting.
That's pretty sweet. You know, something. I make a lot of products, not a lot of a few products, and of all the country in the world, I sell the most of my product in Norway, and they only have 5 million people there. They're all brewers.
My steeping grains in here, Trong, if you're staying along with me there.
Okay.
Go ahead and get that started, and then I'll get a timer started.
Okay, I drop my thing in. So since you guys have Christy helping you, she should be a timekeeper for us. So I'm drop my grain in too right now. Mine at 150 degrees, right?
Yep, I'm at 150-ish.
Yeah.
I think I got this nice induction burner here. Let's just see. We are at 155. I'm right in the range. We're good. I did start a 30-minute timer, so hopefully we hear that thing go off here in just a minute, or in about 30 minutes. But we've got that steeping. So let me clear off some space here as we go through our brew. This is great. All right.
Okay. So
any other comments from chat right now, or?
Not yet.
Okay.
But we appreciate all the feedback, and thank you for joining us.
Oh,
so
definitely.
Fun.
No, this is exciting. This is our first live stream. So it was chaotic trying to get everything together, but this is very, very exciting for us. And we're so happy that Trong is able to help us kind of kick this off. We had a podcast that we had done with Trong. Gosh, Trong, it was a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yes.
One of the things that we had talked about was, the way we were recording it is he's like, well, we should do a live brew day. And I said, this would be great. This is kind of the first of hopefully many of these that we can do going forward. We're very excited to do it. So Trong, let's talk to you a little bit. And you got anything fun in the works or any new developments as far as your...
I have so many things to share with people. As a retiree, I have spent most of my day just thinking about brewing and brewing tools and various stuff that a home brewer would do. As I said before, this is what I do is not just about home brewing, it's about home brewers. Home brewer is the fellow or a person that would do a lot of crazy thing in their home, improving on making good thing to eat, making good thing to drink, making good thing to keep the thing working better in their household, whether inside the house or outside the house. And there's just a lot of opportunity to do. One of the things that I'm really excited, which I have been working for a number of years, but in recent time, it's surfaced again because I found the right kind of tool. That everybody hate to have stinky kitchen sponges in their home, and I created a way that's really super easy that you can guarantee if you use this system, you have the most sanitized, basically sterile kitchen sponge, and there's no smell, and there's change color, and it lasts 3 times as long. So if you want, if we have time talking about that, I'd be happy to show you folks what it looks like and how it works. So that's one of the things that I'm working on, and another thing I'm working on is figure out a way how to sterilize using the same principle to sterilize metal tools that normally would use in like the nail salons. When I see the people put their tool under UV light, which is not very effective because it's only sterilize the surface exposed to the light, but not the other side. And unless you wear your gloves to stick in your UV oven, it may hurt your skin because UV break DNA and could cause mutation and skin cancers. So that's the kind of thing that I'm doing. I spend my day working on.
Yeah, no, and you have quite a few, even just from a homebrew standpoint, some of the stuff that you come up with. So, do you mind if I talk about a little bit, kind of the favorite invention you come up with from a homebrew standpoint? Do you mind if I gush?
Yes. I have it here. I have all kinds of things here. So this is where what you see. This is where I make and assemble to ship these things around the world. So this is my workshop. My workshop is really my kitchen. It's basically only my wife and me doing all this thing. So this is as boutique as you can get. But we're probably the smallest U.S. exporter of homebrew equipment in the country. Yes. So let me check my brew time. I'm still 152 degrees, and this is good. I just found this. I want to share with people. Normally in Chinese cooking, we use this as dipping noodle, cooking noodle, a basket. You put noodle in hot boiled water. And I said, this is a wonderful, turn it into a hot basket. This is the screen in here is too big, but I'm going to make a version that's the screen will be smaller, maybe 500 microns, and then I can hang it on to this, and I can put hops in here. So I just found it in the kitchen while getting ready for this show. So this is what I'm going to use today to process my hops. So
that's great.
You guys see this? This is really cheap. You can pick it up at a Chinese restaurant supply.
I grew up with this apparatus. That is genius. Every Asian person has that in their kitchen. So that's amazing. I love it.
Yes. I use something similar, bigger system. My 50-gallon system. I've got the I call it a hop spider, but it's basically a basket. So for you to be able to modify it to fit the Pot-Au-Brew system, I think is actually a really, really good idea. I think a lot of people get a lot of use out of it, especially because with the Pot-Au-Brew system, you're brewing, you're fermenting, everything is in the kettle itself. So being able to capture those hops and pull them out so it has less impact during the full fermentation, that's a great idea. That really helps give you more control and consistency when brewing with this method.
And it's very inexpensive. You can pick it up at a Chinese restaurant supply or Chinese grocery store for maybe $4-5. You know, so it's one of these things.
Yeah, and it's stainless, so I mean, it's good quality. That's great. That's awesome.
Hey, like you can may see, you put this, you can hang it like this. And of course, when you're not doing this, you can use it for cooking noodles and your regular cooking.
So I can see on your Pot-Au-Brew there, you've got your floating dip tube. Is it your floated 2.0?
Yes, this is a 2.0, and this is and of course you got the thermal well sticking down, and I have actually a different. I have a version of the thermometer with the nice thing about the way that I made the thermometer here is the stem of it is actually 5/16 or 8 millimeter wide. I don't really need to have it that wide, but it's the same size that fit in the hole of the nipple for ball lock. So it's really very convenient. So what I do is I have my Pot-Au-Brew. We have 4 nipple. I can put 4. No, actually, I can put 3. So this I can pour this. You see, you can pour the thing in. I can turn this into a third ball lock post. So right now I have the liquid, a gas, and then a third one that I'm actually used for a thermometer. And the reason why I make the stem at 8 millimeter instead of 4 or less millimeter OD, because I have a plan in the future to pack a lot of electronic instrument in this 8 millimeter wide rod. And what kind of instrument I can do? One of the things is, of course, measure the temperature. We already have a way to measure pressure without spunding valve. And one nice thing is that we have to create. We have all the opportunity to create a way to measure the density of the beer, and usually ultrasonic. And the technology already there, and this is really a nice, cool way to measure the density and therefore the gravity of the beer, so you know exactly when your beer is done. And everything is built in. We created opportunities, so you're built into this 8 millimeter rod. So that's for the future, but it takes some resources to develop, but the technology is already there. So that's really nice, and you can take this. Like if you have brewed a shorter pot, you can actually adjust this. You can lift it up and tighten it down, and it's sealed at all level. So if you have a smaller pot, you raise your thermometer, and you have a deeper pot, you can take it deep down, and everything in here I do is hand tight, so that you don't even need any tool to adjust things.
No, I keep stepping up, and I apologize. So you had kind of mentioned the new way of measuring the gravity on one of the podcasts that we did with you, and so from the evolution of technology, which I think is really interesting. Homebrew started out measuring the gravity of their wort using the floating hydrometers, right? So
right.
On how buoyant it is, and then we stole from the wine industry and started using refractometers, right, to measure the density based upon the sugar concentration, how light refracts through it. And then after that, then we had the floating hydrometers, right, the ones that kind of tilt, and depending on the angle, the density of the liquid, they tend to either float more upright or less upright, and you can calculate the gravity based on the angle that they're tilted because of the accelerometer that's in there. I thought that was kind of the end of the innovation. And then you're talking to us about, no, I can do it using ultrasound, because you know the shape of the vessel, and so you can measure the time it takes for sound to travel through a specific density, which submarines have been doing that for a long time. When they're checking salinity and how buoyant the submarine is, they're checking the density of the water. You're now applying this, or trying to apply this, to homebrew. I don't know how you come up with this, Trong. I mean, your poor wife.
the opportunity is there. We have a Pot-Au-Brew. We know the shape, the size, the volume, the temperature of this thing. So we have set the foundation for do many things. Along with, hey, I had to bring my beer out to drink the beer like you do. I had to bring my porter out too. So this is really cool ways, and with the electronics, we can actually measure all these things. And eventually, with the AI technology, we can do really cool with this 10-liter Pot-Au-Brew. That we can do everything. You can brew anything imaginable. You can brew beer, you can brew cold brew coffee, you can brew kombucha, you can actually fermenting kimchi and sauerkraut, because it's the fermentation vessel. At the universal fermentation pressure is that have all the tool and the parameter for you to do fermentation. You can heat, you can cool, you can pressurize, you can chill, you can serve, you can tap, you can do. What else do you want with this thing? And this thing, because it's the pressure cooker, it lasts forever. You're gonna have one of these things. You're gonna hand it down to your grandchildren. It's a stainless steel thing. You can cook on anything, any kind of heat source. Ceramic, you can do this induction, you can get gas, you get electric. So
and that's they work on induction because of the magnetic bottom on it, and it's a very high quality stainless steel. I mean, this thing will last a very long time. I mean, the other things that you mentioned, we'll be doing kombucha. Actually, I think next week we've got it scheduled. We've got the SCOBY coming in. We're going to do kombucha in the Pot-Au-Brew. We're very excited to try that out.
Yeah, that's really easy to do, and I can show you how to make the best tasting kombucha. Kombucha by and large is pretty sour, and it kind of it's good for you, but you need to doctor it up to make it good, taste good. But the best way to have the best kombucha is you do the Egyptian syrup style. You actually ferment it with, you make the kombucha and you grind up some fruit juice and you pour it together at the end. It tastes so much better than regular kombucha. So you trust me, you do the glucose syrup, SRUB. And that's the best way to turn your kombucha tasting really good. Everybody should love it. I used to make and sell a ton of it. I couldn't sell fast enough. Yeah. Kombucha make syrup style, flavor with syrup style. Yeah, sure.
Now that's done in almost like the secondary. So you let it primary ferment, and then when it's done, you add the fruit juice and the flavoring to it, so it kind of goes through a second fermentation. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that you can do it as the second mixing, because that's a lot easier to do, because you can actually ferment it in the regular kombucha with just sweet tea, right, and SCOBY. And when it's done, when the time to flavor it, then with the same pot, you can flavor. Some of the best combination for that is like ginger and beet. Ginger and beet and kombucha taste wonderful, and grapefruits, and then strawberry. It tastes really well. You try it, you're gonna love it. Yeah.
We may have to try that. We're doing a lemon ginger was our plan, but I have to get some beets. Maybe there's a farmer's market. That's a good
idea. Farmer's market every weekend. I'll grab that for you.
Yeah.
Beet and ginger. Beet and ginger and kombucha is just like a good. Besides, it look beautiful. The color look really nice too. And you do either lemon and strawberry or grapefruit and strawberry, who works really well.
So what makes
those are my favorite flavor for kombucha.
Like, how do you? What's the difference between beer, which is alcoholic, and has alcohol in it, and kombucha.
So, Trong, you mind if I jump on this? Is that okay? So what's neat about kombucha, because it's a colony of yeast and bacteria, right? And so the yeast ferment it and they turn the sugars into ethanol, which is the alcohol. And usually it's a very, very low percentage. But then the colony of bacteria actually takes that ethanol and turns it into acetic acid and lactic acid, which has very good health benefits. And so by the end of fermentation, the more vinegary, the more tart it gets, the more health benefits there are. And that alcohol really, if it exists at all, it's at a very, very low level because that bacteria processes the ethanol and turns it into health beneficial things. I always thought there was alcohol in it, and I was like, how are people drinking this? Like, why is this not regulated? I didn't have a full understanding of how that complete conversion happens. It's fascinating.
Yeah, the alcohol level, it would not be high, but in the United States, if you want to sell kombucha, a non-alcoholic product, it has to be less than 0.5%.
Right.
And sometimes it could be higher than 0.5%. So commercial kombucha makers, they're scared to death of that rule. So they make it really sour, and they cannot make it sweet, because if they make it, they must leave much sugar in there, it turns into higher alcohol, and they get dinged by the government. So therefore, store-bought kombucha tastes terrible. So the only way to make good kombucha is you make at home, and it's so easy to make, especially if you have a Pot-Au-Brew. Yeah, you can make it like for basically nothing, and then you can.
Sorry, what's nice in the Pot-Au-Brew too, because it's such a small batch, and kombucha it doesn't have a really long shelf life. I mean, it's a living, breathing product, like beer is, but it doesn't last quite as long. And so to get the maximum health benefits out of it, you really need to drink it fresh. So getting it from the store, you don't know how long it's been sitting on the shelf. You don't know what's been put in it or really what controls are there. So to be able to make it yourself and have it as fresh as possible, there's tons of health benefits to it. I haven't done a lot of kombucha, but the research I've done is really fascinating with one, how old of a beverage it really is. I don't know if it predates beer, but it might. But the health benefits and the good bacteria that's in there it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and the way you should make it with the Pot-Au-Brew is you make it a continuous process, which means that you every time you take some kombucha out, you add some more sweet tea in, and then in 2-3 days later, you repeat the process. You keep doing, so you constantly have good kombucha to use. So it's a pretty. I actually come up with a nice glass thing and my floating dip tube is really good for making kombucha. Let me bring this in to show you. Okay.
This does remind me of the last time we did podcast. Trong had so much cool stuff he was bringing in off camera, so that was really exciting. So are you grabbing your Float It? Because I've got mine here. I actually have another one I still have to put in a keg. I think almost all my kegs are outfitted now.
And okay, so this is my little jar that I use for making kombucha. You see that they have a floating dip tube inside, and the floating dip tube is actually connected to the spout at the bottom. And what nice thing about kombucha have a lot of they have slimy and gross, so therefore it's good.
Really quick,
So
I want to do a shout out. John says hello from Arizona.
Oh, John, thanks for tuning in, my friend. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Hopefully you're getting some value out of today's stream. It's our first one, so we're kind of having some fun with it, but we're excited you joined us. Thank you.
Yeah. there's so much information and a lot of people around the world doing really, really cool things. So this kind of format, it will have like a community. People can chime in and watch and share with each other the kind of the tip and the tricks that they make at home. And that's what home brewers do, right? They come up with crazy things and they enjoy doing that, and they also enjoy sharing with other people. And because thanks to the technology, we can do it around the world. Yes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The leaps and bounds of being able to do remote stuff and to stream things, it's phenomenal how much it's come so full circle. Let me, while you're doing your kombucha jar there, let me talk about your floating dip tube. So for those of you that don't know, from a home brewer perspective, when you are bottling your beer and you get tired of bottling and you eventually start kegging, you end up with a problem where the bottom of your keg has this long stainless tube that goes so that you can draw beer off the bottom as you're kind of draining the keg out. The problem is as home brewers, we don't filter our beer. So there can be a lot of junk that can settle and get in the bottom of the keg. So they come up with floating dip tubes before, which is really a piece of tubing that has like a stainless float or a plastic float on it, and that keeps your tube up at the top where the clearest beer is. And as you drink, it slowly lowers the float to the bottom of the keg, which is great because your first couple of pints that you pour off are clear all the way down. Problem is if you're dry hopping or you're putting a lot of hops in the keg or you're doing fruit or anything like that, this can clog very, very easily. Trong took a product that had existed for a very long time and reimagined it, reinvented it. And so he has a stainless float on it. There are 2 screens that actually filter out, and Trong, I'm going to forget the micron. The outside is a 500?
The outside is 500, the inside is 300, and that combination worked really, really well. It can handle almost everything. Yeah.
As this thing is floating down, I'm going to put this on the tube here real quick. There we go. So as it's going, not only are you getting the clearest beer off the top, but by the time it gets to the bottom, there's literally no liquid left behind. You don't get a glass or a beer mug full of just junk at the bottom. Like, it really leaves no beer behind. And so these tend to be a little bit, I wouldn't say more expensive, but it's a quality product. And so they do cost a little bit more than the plastic ones that are out there. But the fact that they're stainless, these things will last forever. And I put one in my keg, and I couldn't believe how well it worked. I was shocked. And so I've ended up outfitting all of my kegs with this. And, we did a review on it a couple of months ago and just doing a comparison between the 3 different kinds that are on the market. And the response to the video was unbelievable, Trong. I don't know if you saw the comments on there, but every single person on there was like, this is a game changer. I can't believe how well this works. It's like magic. It is just unbelievable. So this has been, probably one of the biggest things for me that's been a game changer for home brewing. And you incorporate it into your Pot-Au-Brew so you can serve out of the fermenting vessel. That's kind of what it is here.
Right.
It leaves you so much versatility. Like, it's unbelievable. And I've been looking at it, trying to figure out with other brewing vessels that we're doing, and even the Igulu, which we've done some reviews on, and you and I talked about that a little bit. I'm looking at that going, man, would this product be better with a floating dip tube in it? Like, we could maybe improve some stuff. I don't know. It's just, it's so awesome. I can't say enough good stuff about it.
But when I look at some of those homebrew appliances, they do a lot of things that seem to be cool, but really it's nothing. They just add some electronic into it. They fundamentally, they didn't change anything. They have no floating dip tube. They have no spunding valve. They basically have a timer and a temperature controller. When you think about it, it's just a timer, the temperature, and a little the control interface with a smartphone. That's it. There isn't anything. They cannot do what the little lowly Pot-Au-Brew can do. The Pot-Au-Brew can do it, and those things gonna be, like in a couple of years, they're gonna disappear because they're gonna break down, and it costs a lot of money. It costs $600-700 to stay in your kitchen counter or someplace to take a lot of room. Why do we need to chill something down or heat something down while we have the stove? We have our refrigerator. We have all the things that we already appliances already have. All we need is a ware, right? A cookware. In this case, Pot-Au-Brew is a brewware. The brewware is a utensil that you can use your existing home appliance, but you're gonna need it for half an hour to heat up something, and then the rest of the time you stick it into your refrigerator, and then you enjoy. So you don't have to spend a lot. And when you're not making beer, you can use it to making soup. You can use it for making. You can cook anything with that, and it's gonna last forever because it can break down. It's stainless steel. You see. And all the parts that come with it, like the floating dip tube, like the spunding valve, like thermometer, all those things are repairable because we come and we build them like we build a bicycle. You can always replace some parts in it, some more inexpensive part in it, and keep it going for a long time. And so therefore you think it's expensive, but it's the most cost-effective thing to use. You know how home brewer, we buy things we throw away. If you buy the spunding valve, a plastic spunding valve like for maybe $20, and then you're going to use it, it's going to break down, and you're going to toss it away in another a year or so. And with our system, it lasts forever. See, because make up basically stainless steel and the medical grade silicone. So that was my.
I think really speaks to the home brewers' need to tinker, right? Add innovations and things to say, you know, this or your picnic tap, right? Which is a multi-tool. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. You can use it in multiple applications. You're not necessarily stuck with a one-use case. And to have the flexibility where it's really simple. When you look at some of the technology that's come about and you know, there's Wi-Fi brew systems and all of that adds a level of complexity, which is nice and it's convenient. But there's something to be said about bringing it back and really keeping it simple so that, like you said, it's going to break down in a couple of years, or there's going to be issues with the technology, or something's going to change. And then you have this nice piece of hardware that's a paperweight versus something that's more versatile where you can not only make beer on it, but you can also do, like you said, the kombucha, sauerkraut. You were telling me about your sauerkraut you make that's like super crispy, or the kombucha, or any fermented thing, or soup. It's still you can still do that with. It's a multi-use thing.
I think that's what I was going to ask you, and I know we're going to get to our next stage of questions, but when you manipulate the Pot-Au-Brew, though, can you still use it as a pressure cooker?
Yes, you can. All you need to do is just buy a lid, because this is a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
But it's come with all the things for the pressure cooker on top of it. But their pressure control valve is not very good, not resettable. Meaning, if the pressure go up, it cannot go back down. Seal. It's not very precise. And I just take the pressure lid, the lid of the pressure cooker, and add the beer brewing thing to it. Like I add 3 nipples for our bar lock post, right? So that we can put disconnect on it, and I add in the middle of this, I add a resettable pressure relief valve, and that we can actually change for different kind of pressure level, and that's it. So now, if you want to use it as a pressure cooker, then you just order a pressure lid. You see, the pressure cooker lid still work on here. You get that lid, and whenever you want to do pressure cooking, you use that lid, and now it's the pressure cooker.
Okay.
Trong, I'm sorry, real quick before we go to chat, and thank you for keeping an eye on that, Christy. We got about 50 seconds or so, Trong. I'm going to go ahead and kick up my stove to start this boil getting going.
Okay.
If you can do that as well. Hopefully I don't get too much interference. If my audio drops out, I apologize. This thing is giving off all kinds of magnetic fields. We'll get that ready to boil. We're going to pull out our grain, and we're going to let it drain for a little bit.
Okay.
Put our stove up like that, and we'll let it do its thing. And then before the extract, we'll do that. Christy, did we have any more chats or anything?
Yes.
Or?
So Kim commented that she agrees with us that all store-bought kombucha is terrible, which I agree. So we're gonna make it better. I have to agree. Like,
no,
I've had some bad kombucha, but
well, you know how long things been on the road, what temperature it's been through. Like, yep, there's our timer. Steeping is complete. Okay, stop beeping. Thank you.
I'm so excited to do kombucha.
Oh, Chrissy, I guarantee you, if you make the kombucha the way I show you, you're gonna love it, and you will never spend another dime buying kombucha because you can't drink it. It doesn't taste good.
Okay, so you're gonna promise me that I'm gonna actually like kombucha now.
Yes, it's really easy. I can show you. I wish I could send you some of the kombucha. And another nice thing about why our kombucha tastes so much better, because we can carbonate it better. We can have it higher carbonation level because we do the homebrew style. We can pressure carbonate the thing. So
that makes sense. Yeah, I'm excited. I love kombucha, but
that's gonna be fun. Yeah, I've
had some tough ones, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, in the store-bought, again, you don't know what the freshness is or anything. So this is going to be kind of a game changer. It's awesome. Before I forget, allergies. We will. I don't think I had a chance to put them in the description, but we'll definitely put some links into the description of the stream once we get it finished with some of the links and things to Trongs products. Trong, I know you were kind enough to help us build our Pot-Au-Brew that we've been brewing on for like 8 months now, I think. Mm-hmm. And it's been kind of a lot of fun, especially because I like to do the full 10-gallon, 15-gallon brews, which is like an 8-hour day. And it's nice to be able to mix it up with a nice quick batch, a lot of water savings with it. How is your development coming with the lid that you were talking about? Are you able to talk about that, or is it not quite ready to discuss, to give to the public? Nope. Did we lose Trong? Oh, there he goes. There you go.
In my garage right now, there is 100 Pot-Au-Brew in there. See, and the lid, been drilled and processing. So in another 30 days, I can probably ship those 100 thing out to early adopter. And I actually want to give it a really, really good deal, good price on these 100, because I want people to use it. And I was thinking of selling this thing for about $3.99, and that comes with everything to brew. I wanted when people open the box, all they need is just ingredient and yeast, and they can brew beer. They don't have to run around buy this and buy that. I want to have every freaking thing. In there, and because that's hassle. If you want to buy a little thing, it may cost you $3, but then you have to pay $4 or $5 shipping. So I want to add everything to it, and including one of the biggest problem remaining for me right now is to source out the best mini CO2 regulator. Because all the CO2 regulator we get right now, they're junk. They're not very consistent. They leak, and they waste a lot of CO2 gas. So I want to get the best CO2 regulator that can work with all kind of cartridge. It can work with 16 grams. It can work with 64 grams. It can work with soda stream regulator, and they work with even the big tank 5-pound thing, so that people can actually use it. And with the concept of whatever we do, we want to make the best and the long-lasting thing that we don't have to throw away to landfill and waste money. And that the last thing that I want to source out right now. But in the meantime, people have various ways to inject CO2 gas in their thing. But I want to attract more newbie brewer, people never brew before, getting in brewing. Eventually, what I want to do, my ultimate goal in life, I want to have everybody in the home will have a Pot-Au-Brew, because it can so versatile. As I said, it's one of the best investment people can make. They can use it as a cookware. I can use a brewware, and it lasts a long time. And so, and it have all the best components. It has the best spunding valve. It has the best floating dip tube. It have the best way to manage flow, so that you control the flow. And they have a tap that you can drip, and they give you a nice pour beer when you want to. When you want to brew beer, or you want to brew kombucha. But otherwise, you can use it for cooking pasta, cooking a pot of soup, or whatever. Because it's a 10 liter. It's very versatile. It's skinny and tall, so it's usually you don't find pot like that. This is one of the things that make it very unique. Even you in a home, you can use a pot like this, a narrow pot, taller. Usually, those pots are only made for cooking pasta, and because the cooking pasta is usually very thin, very lightweight, but inexpensive, cheap. But this one, a heavy duty, it's a pressure cooker that like a pasta cooker, and it can hold pressure. So those are, that is my commercial to you guys. I hate to sound like a salesman for Pot-Au-Brew, but I'm actually very passionate about it.
Let me ask you this, Trong. So you talk about the new lid, and you said you got 100 in your garage to kind of ship out. So if someone's interested and they want to get it, is it on your website or is it on Amazon? And we can always share the link later if you have that up and ready to go. But what's the best way for them to get that? I'm going to start. Sorry, real quick. I'm going to start adding my extract. I think I got my grains all drained out. Yeah. So if you're adding extract, I'm going to add extract.
See, I sell a lot of product on Amazon, and I sell a lot of product on eBay, and I sell product to my dealer, some dealers in Thailand, in Europe. But I really don't. I don't know when I'm going to put this Pot-Au-Brew on Amazon, because Amazon customer they buy a lot of things, but it's so transactional. On everything on Amazon, you buy and you return, and if something, especially when you make something new, people have never seen this stuff before. When they open it, it's something new that they just fix down and they just return. They don't even bother to call and ask a question of how you do this, how you do that. There's no interaction. But my customer on eBay, on the other hand, they write and they ask the thing. But on Amazon, you cannot even write to your customer. You can't even interact. Everything you go through some kind of crazy thing. They don't want you to know each other. So having my website is the best place to try out something new, because I want to make sure that when people buy my thing, if they're not happy, they can return it, get their money back. If they're not happy, I don't want your money. I make this for myself. It have to work for me before it work for you. But you have to put some effort, because it's a novel thing. It's a new thing. You've never seen it before. No other Chinese people will make it for you. So it's from America. If you need something, question, you pick up the phone, you send a text, you send an email, and somebody will respond to you. And we have all the parts right here. You don't have to wait for 6 months to get the part. See? So if you buy something from Cakeland for a center, if 1 street go bad, where the hell are you going to find this thing? See?
Where it's not just about pushing out product. There's an interaction. There's a community. That's an important aspect, and that's, I think, lost in a large e-commerce. Nothing wrong with e-commerce, but you kind of lose that touch. So to be able to have people interact with you on your website or on eBay and be able to really reach the person that makes it, I think that's one of the things that makes you unique versus like a Blickman Engineering or, I'm trying to think of some of the other big brands for brewing, where it is.
Cakeland. The name is for Cakeland. They make really popular thing, inexpensive, but you get no support. You get no parts, and then they don't make to last. And they make in a factory that people who don't brew beer. You ever call the Chinese manufacturer, you ask them questions, they don't even brew beer, and they make all these things. So remember, everything I make for myself first and foremost. So it has to work. It has to be really, really good.
The product that you designed is coming from your heart. You're making something to improve what you do as a hobby and have as much fun. And even outside of brewing, you invent things and you want to share that with others. And there's less of a transaction, more of a relationship that happens with that. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
I have to jump in, and I feel like it's that same kind of feeling we have when we go to a farmer's market and buy locally sourced produce.
Exactly.
We go. I feel like when I buy from you, it's something that you have. It might be slightly more money, but you've sourced this out yourself. You've done it yourself. Like it's made in the U.S. Like, I don't know. There's something about that. Like, that's exactly why we go to farmers market. We're trying to support local people,
right?
You know, so I don't know. I love what you're doing, Trong. I think it's amazing.
You know, I'm lucky enough to be able to in the position to do that, because think about that. In order to do this kind of thing, it takes enormous of investment, and most company can't afford to do all the new and crazy thing. It's small volume. You know, you make something, when they make something, big company will make something, they need to sell by the millions in order to make it work. So I make something that I sell by a couple dozen, a couple hundred, and because I do it all by myself, and I share with a few people that are interested. And actually, one thing I'm amazed is that really in this world, especially in the United States, when you make something good, people find it, ultimately find it, and they just embrace you and applaud you. You know, I find that very, very touching, because I'm in the position, I'm a retired guy. I don't really need to make these things to make money. I just make it in a way to express my passion for making good things. And to me, making good things are the most important. Make good thing that works is the most important. And the opportunity, if you think about it, and you can see that we're talking about using ultrasound to measure the liquid density.
Which is great.
I mean, it's there.
But I love it.
Yeah.
It's all science, right?
I geek out on that stuff. That's amazing.
And using, you know, even the simple thing like my floating dip tube, you know how the way we connect, we can snap it on and pull it back out. You know, versus having the little ring thing, you try to put it in. The way I designed it at the beginning, I said, man, I have to make this. You know, the first 1,000 things, I have to make those things out of safety pin. I have to, because the only way for me to do that is to use the stainless steel safety pin, and I have to hand bend those things. Every single one of them I bend. Finally, I make enough that I can design a mold, so the current version is actually made in a factory, so that I can just snap it, and it's so cool. It's like, it saved me so much time before I have to hand bend the thing correctly from a safety pin.
So let me understand correctly, Trong. You said earlier you're retired, right?
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. I'm retired.
How do you have hours in the day?
I know.
With everything you do?
Oh my gosh, the energy level is just—it's unbelievable. I love it. I love it so much.
You know how old I am? I'm 74 years old.
Oh my God. We did not. I almost choked. Sorry.
Yeah. So I have a lot of experience behind me. You know, I was a scientist. I run the lab. I run a chain of restaurants. I run a lot of community organizations. So now I'm retired, and I put all those things together that I have invented over the years to work, and the opportunity to do cool things is around you, man, when you think about it. So such simple thing.
When you first came to the U.S., you worked in a bakery, right? That was the first, the main thing that you did when you first came to the U.S. Was it like world famous croissants? Or?
Croissants.
Yeah. I make in Sacramento. If you talk to some folks who live in Sacramento in the 80s, I had, when the croissant first started, most people in the United States didn't know what a croissant was. I started a chain of croissant, and people line around the block to buy my croissants, and I couldn't make it fast enough, so I limit only 6 croissants per customer. And I didn't realize that that is the worst thing I did, because in this country, when you tell people you can only buy 6, they're gonna want to buy more. They bring the kid in, they say, this little kid hang on their arms, he wants 6 and I want 6.
Oh my God, that's funny.
So I have to ask you though, Trong, what's your secret? You're 74. How do you look so good? How are you so energetic? Are you just passionate?
Really?
Is it the kombucha?
No, really. I mean, so a lot of people ask me this question. I think the energy level I have right now is not as much as before. One of the problems that I have, frankly, is at this age, the biggest problem is that I have to get up many times at night to go to pee. And that really the worst thing, because I don't really have a good night's sleep, and it's terrible. So just to be really honest with each other, old man, you've been around old man, they only smell like old man, right? Because that's just the reality of life. And they bug the heck out of me. And I say, why this? Because it's younger days, I usually hang around some older guy, and I say, smell so bad. I say, that guy smell weird, man. Don't you see? So now I say, shit, that happened to me. So I feel, as a curious guy, I say, what make old man like this? One of the reason, this is we're talking about life and science things, right? So one of the reasons most old men doesn't smell good, because when they pee, their sphincter doesn't close, correctly. So there are leaks, and when there are leaks, the urine in their pants, and then it creates a smell, right? So, and then I don't care whether you shake the shit out of it, but that still doesn't come out. It's still leak. So I say, what can I do? Because and then I figured out a really simple solution. And I have many friends who are urologists, and I discussed it with them, and they agree. So the way that you do it is, and I really want to write an article for the old folks organization, just because it's really a practical, useful thing. And what you should do, you should dab and squeeze. After you pee, if you take a little napkin handy in that, and you can dab it to that doesn't drip in your pan. And now I have to feel, okay, that system worked really well. But how you do it in a practical manner, like you go to a public restroom and you stand in urinal, and when you dab, you think, where the hell are you going to throw this thing that you should dab it? So I was just thinking a practical way, so how to deal with this issue. So I'm still working on it, but there is, at home, what many old men should do and should think about is, should dab it. I should create a package, a little thing that's a dapper, like, and the brand will be like, instead of Spunded, be Dapper.
That's why I love it. I love you.
I love coming on here, and we're talking about brewing. No, we're talking about kombucha. No, wait, we're talking about when you get older, you sometimes got to dab a little. So I love the range. That's
what homebrewer is, right? That's what.
Right.
What dealing with valve, sprinter, they're doing the same freaking thing. Yeah. Okay, I usually, my geologist friend, I used to have a geologist live in the back of the loft here in my house, and they said that, Trong, you and I were doing the same thing. I'm a plumber, but I'm plumbing for human. Yeah. You're plumbing for beer.
How's your boil doing? Mine just reached some defoamer on it. Coming up, are you boiling?
Yeah, I'm actually doing it right now. Okay.
All right, you want to do our first hop edition?
Yes.
We have some chats maybe a little bit, but can we throw up the recipe again real quick, Christy? Because we're moving on to our hop edition. So we've got our specialty grains added. We've got our extract added. We brought it to a boil. So our 60-minute is going to be the
Galena.
The 0.17 ounces of Galena. That's our 60-minute hop. And then 30 minutes for the Cascade, 0.07 ounces, and then 0.07 ounces of Mount Hood for 5 minutes. So we'll go ahead and do our first hop edition. Thank you, Christy. Appreciate that. And that's going to start smelling good. It's got a nice roasty smell to it, doesn't it, Trong? Like, it's super dark right now. It's got a wonderful, sweet, toasty darkness.
I can smell it.
Isn't that nice?
It smells good.
Good thing we have ventilation in here. All right, so first hop edition going in. And it's so weird for me, too, used to doing such big batches. We were adding 2 and 3 ounces of hops at a time. And we're just like, it's 0.17. It's very, very little hops. But it's interesting because we pressure ferment this. You don't lose a lot of that hop aroma. It doesn't bubble out. So we kind of have to adjust the recipe a little bit when we're doing a pressure fermentation in the Pot-Au-Brew to make sure that we're good with the it's not too hoppy, because we're not doing an IPA. We're doing a roasty thing today. So good. All right.
I'll wait till Trong is available. I have a comment.
We have some comments. Awesome. I love it. This is
Trong, you have a lot of fans or a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, most home brewer are male, right? Are guys, and a lot of them kind of older age. So when we talk about the stuff we just talk about, they draw a lot of interest.
Oh, let me read the comment while we're at it. Russell commented, "Thank you, Russell, for joining."
Yes, thank you, Russell.
I was introduced to home beer brewing for the first time after meeting Trong a few months ago. His enthusiasm for home brewing is contagious. He is a real scientist, inventor, and excellent teacher.
Yes.
And then it goes on to say, I did not realize that Trong is now working on urologic problems.
Right? I know. Every time we meet with him, it's like he's doing sonar from submarines, and now he's working on the urology problem.
Thank you, Russell. That was amazing.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for chiming in. We appreciate it. This has been a fun so far.
You know, Russell is a doctor. He's a retired doctor.
That makes sense.
So, you met Russell in person?
Yeah, but he's in my town. He live in the town next door, and and he come to my house we met him at a party and talk about brewing. He said, "Hey, I want to learn how to brew." So he and his wife came to my house, and we brew a couple times, and then he took the whole thing home. And the last time we brew at his house using the Pot-Au-Brew, and he learn how to borrow his beer to give his children, and they're having a blast. So this is see,
that's great. That community that you're building and stuff. I mean, that's awesome. They joined the stream to kind of cheer you on and support. That was really fun. I love it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm glad Russell has joined us.
No, that's awesome. All right, so I started our timer again. I'm gonna have 28 minutes or so until the next hop edition. So things are progressing nicely. I'm glad my burner's holding up. That was something we got specific for the stream today to do the boiling, and I didn't know if it would be beefy enough to handle the boil, but it has had no problems at all. So we are chugging along. It's great. All right. Let's see. So, Trong, we talked about your floating dip tube. I'm going to see if I have. There we go. Speaking of bottling and things, one of the neat things that was the other invention that you kind of came up with was the picnic tap that you came up with. Is the picnic tap 2.1?
Yeah.
Give Trong a second here.
It's really scary.
Yeah.
Boiling.
Yeah. Always.
I'll be right back. Give me just a second here.
Cool.
Yeah, so the guy Garrett over there,
Yeah.
There we go. Man, this has been a lot of fun, actually. This is, like I said, this is our first live stream. I keep harping on that, but this has been really fun to have the kind of the raw interactions, and the fact that you're in California and we're in Arizona and we can actually do a brew day together. That makes it a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure some people from Thailand probably will chime in, watching us now, because Thai people just love the Pot-Au-Brew because they love beer, and the climate is hot, the cuisine is spicy, and beer fit right in, and this system worked really well for Thai. And they're waiting. Actually, I have standing orders for a number of them to go to Thailand right now as soon as I'm able to ship. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, just the low profile. You just need you don't need a ton of equipment. You don't need a chiller. You don't need anything. It's literally just a pot on the stove. And one of the things that's kind of unique for me, because I've got radiators, and we chill the beer down after boil as fast as possible, and this is a no chill thing, so it really saves a ton of time. I mean, we'll see that as we get later on in the brew, but really it's you finish the boil, you put the lid on it, the steam sanitizes, really sterilizes at this point everything, and you just let it sit overnight. You don't have to worry about sanitization, don't have to worry, and you pitch the yeast in the morning, and it takes a lot of the stress off of trying to get through and make sure the cold side of your brew day is sanitary. And it's been a lot of fun to explore a little bit, and honestly, I wish we had more time brew more on the Pot-Au-Brew. We're probably doing 1 brew a month, but just with time constraints and things, we don't have as much time as I would like. And this has been a lot of fun for Christy, especially in her when she does the apartment brewing, because she doesn't need a ton of equipment. She can play around with the flavors and play around with the beer, and it's in the kitchen, and the cleanup is easy, and it's not intimidating. It really is a great way to not only get into the hobby without a massive investment in equipment, but it's not intimidating. It's a great way to go. So hopefully, and for those of you that are watching this stream later, take this recipe and try it. It is absolutely phenomenal, and I'll let Trong chime in because he brewed it before the brew day. So
yes.
Are you do you have it to pour, Trong, and show
off?
Yes.
I'm gonna bring it out in a little bit here. Let me finish adding my hops and prepare my hop.
Okay, you're just doing the 1 hop edition, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, this has been great. This has been a lot of fun. So,
but if we do it more refined, it can be a party. It's like everybody brew and they can drink the beer they brewed last time, and then they can learn more than brewing. Like I can show people how to make the best sauerkraut that you ever use, the easiest and the best sauerkraut. And actually, it's really not a sauerkraut because sauerkraut is kind of soggy, and then I make. On the other hand, coleslaw is crunchy, so I make a sauerkraut, a combination of sauerkraut and coleslaw. And I call that sauerkraut. So, and I guarantee you, if you eat that, and it's so freaking easy to make. It's absolutely easy.
So refresh my memory, Tom, because I remember you telling me about your sauerkraut. What makes it stay so crispy? What is it about using the Pot-Au-Brew that keeps the body of lettuce?
Okay, it's simple. Basically, I use a mason jar. And I use the submerged, something that keep the the cabbage in the liquid, its own juice. And then, because what happens is you take cabbage, if you make sauerkraut, you take cabbage, you chop them very fine, and then you sprinkle salt on them, and you let the salt extract some of the liquid, and you put it in a fermented vessel. The key thing is you have to get all the air out, and so what happens is when you put things like that, there's a million air bubble inside the cabbage, and the air bubble allow the yeast to grow even at the beginning, and the yeast will destroy the packing structure of the sauerkraut. So until the lactobacillus bacteria take over. So I stopped that. The reason I stopped it, cut the sauerkraut because of the cabbage, sprinkle salt, pack it in the mason jar, press it down, and then put the submergers on. So to keep the cabbage under its own juice, but they still have a lot of air inside. So what I do, I close the lid and I have a valve that I can vacuum out. I can vacuum all the million. When you vacuum, you can see air coming out of the cabbage. So when the air coming out of the cabbage, there's no more air, so the yeast cannot grow anymore. And then with the salt, the key. Let the lactobacillus grow faster, so the end result is that the cabbage, because it's so crunchy that actually it's noisy when you eat it. When you eat it, so the guy next to you is like, "What you eat is so crunchy." So and not only that, when you add with beet and ginger to that, the color is so gorgeous because the yeast with the beet with their oxygen is. The color is radiant like you never see before. So it's delicious and it's really good for you. It is so freaking easy to do. I can show it to you I can make a batch of sauerkraut in maybe 15 minutes. And it's ready to eat depending on the temperature probably in a week. And you're gonna love it. And basically use the same technology that we have in brewing beer, vacuum, pressure, reduce oxygen exposure, that sort of thing. applicable. So one of these days we have to do a show on how to do that, and I think people will love it. And we're not gonna make sauerkraut. We make sauerslaw because it tastes like sauerkraut, crunchy like sauerslaw, or like coleslaw. Cool. Okay, I'm boiling like crazy. What's going on? Are you still connected?
Am I on? Okay. He turned his back. I don't know if you can see. Trong, can you hear?
I can't hear you either.
You can't hear me? Oh, I think we lost him. No, he's still there. No, I'm not hearing anything. Well, bug.
Okay.
I can hear Trong.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you too.
You can hear me now.
Yeah,
okay.
I can hear you.
I lost it for just a second. I think we're.
What happened?
I don't know. Technology.
The internet down. Oh, see, that part of the home. That part of home brewing you have to deal with.
Exactly. I expect you to have a solution for this by the time we do this next month.
Yeah. So you see, I think that there is enough material to keep you, that we can share things with other people. How to make sauerkraut, how to, even old man, you don't want to get stinky, we can have solution for you too, and you want to keep, you give the kitchen sponge from sour. Oh, Russell has one of my, my sponge sterilizer. So, and he said that he really enjoyed it. So maybe he can share some of his experience with that.
Yeah, if he's still on, definitely give us your thoughts on what sterilizer?
The name of that thing is sponge nuka. Sponge nuka, because we actually just sterilize it by nuking it, by putting it in the microwave, so like nuke. So instead I call it sponge nuka, Nooker. But and also beside nuking it or sterilize in microwave, it's also have a home for the kitchen sponge. So that like create a nook for the kitchen sponge to park when you're not in use. And when you're ready to sterilize, you nuke it. So the name is Nooker, sponge nuka, Nooker. And actually, I trademarked that name, and I have a trademark for it.
About because you'd emailed me on the sponge nuker.
Yes.
That's right up her alley. So she would be very interested in probably taking a look at that.
I am a germaphobe, so I want everything as clean as possible.
So here it is. The Nuka like this in the glass jar. See, and after you make you wash your thing, you rinse it and you squeeze out as much liquid that you can, and you put the lid on. And the lid on here has a valve, which is the same valve that I use in making sour slaw, because this is the valve that I have a patent on this valve. That's called the mother of all valves. It's a bidirectional valve. That's a valve that you can expel gas out when it passes in pressure, or you can actually inject gas in. So with this, you can stick it in the microwave, and then the microwave creates steam pressure, and the steam pressure will penetrate deep inside the sponge and sterilize everything and raise temperature, and then it's under pressure, so actually hotter than boiling water, because the pressure in here is like 2 or 3 psi, and afterward you take it out. The heat was trapped inside and even permeated deep inside the sponge, so that you sterilize everything, and then you just leave it until when you're ready to use. When you're ready to use, you take it out and you just use it, and then when you're done with using, you squeeze it, put it in here. You have a nook, a place, a home for your sponge while you're not in use. So that's why we call it a sponge nooker.
Sponge you're using.
Everybody should love it.
The technology in a container that basically sterilizes it with steam, right?
Yeah, yes. And then you can use it. I have a bigger version for you to make vegetable. It will be the best vegetable you ever eaten, because you take vegetable, whether cauliflower or asparagus or whatever, you will just wash them, drain out on the water, put it in the nooker, and stick it in the microwave for like 1 minute or 1.5 minutes, depends on how much material, how much vegetable you have. And you take it out, you let it sit inside closed for about another minute. And when you put it on your table, and when you're ready to eat, you take it out and you eat. It's gonna be the best vegetable you ever have, because you don't have to add water. You need salt, so you don't leach out any nutrient, and everything is cooked in its own juice, more or less. And guarantee you will love it. And if not, I send you money back. Okay, money back guarantee. and Russell do, and he really enjoyed doing that. He said that he uses it almost every other day. And I have many people that have used it, and I have used it myself. I have a doctor friend in Davis. I gave him one about 3 years ago, and he used it. He's a vegetarian, and he uses it religiously every day. Dr. Smith, and he can attest to how good that thing worked for him. The Nuka. Cascade.
I gotta do a taste.
Okay, are we back? So
can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead, Christy.
Oh no.
You're back? Okay.
Yep.
No, Russell, right?
Yep.
Yes, Russell gave it high praises, high marks. So and I think I asked you didn't hear it though. Is this commercially available, or do you just have to be really good friends with you to get the Nuker?
Again, I have them all available now. I mean, because I don't want to put it on the market because these new things need a little interaction. You know, I don't want people to buy it and it didn't work and then open it, look at it, and just send it back. I mean,
we'll be part of the test, no problem.
Yeah, yes, but if people want it, send me an email and I send it. You know, and I really want people to enjoy the benefit of my work more than make a killing on the marketplace. You know,
so let's get your email. It's Trong at homebrewerlab.com.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Now, is it lab or labs?
Lab, yeah, homebrewerlab.com.
At homebrewerlab.com. And Trong's actually very responsive. Shoot him an email. He responds to everything. If you've got questions or anything like that, or even if you currently have some of his stuff or having issues or anything, he has a wonderful community and a lot of supporters, and it's because of the authenticity of what he does.
Yeah, you know, I stopped selling my Spunded on eBay for a whole year now, and in fact, but every week I sell a few, and the only way that I think that people find out is they heard from their friend, and they just wrote me like tomorrow. Actually, today is Saturday. I'm supposed to ship 3 Spunded out today, and why I don't put it on eBay, because it takes a lot of work to build a Spunded, and there's not a lot of profit to it, and so in order to make it worthwhile, I have to either raise the price when I sell it on eBay or Amazon, because I have to pay them a fee. So now if I sell direct, I keep the price the same, and I don't have to raise it. I don't need to sell a lot of it because it's a lot of work to make. But the new version that I'm doing, because I engineered this to my way out of this, it make the next Spunded valve is something that everybody designs so that you can take apart and put it back together. Yeah. Because they can take apart and put it back together, it's they have to do with the Spunded valve. So I'm going to ship it like IKEA style, you know. I keep in that, and people have to put it together. If you can't put it together right now, you're gonna have trouble putting it later, because all it takes is just one screwdriver, and you take everything apart and put it back together in like a couple minutes. So because of that, I can keep the price the same and send people a DIY IKEA style package, and they can build a.
Together, they don't deserve
it. No, I think I have your first generation of the Spunding valve, which is a pressure release valve for the fermentation, and your new one, which is the jellyfish, right? It has a clear valve on it. It's much more compact. So one, I mean, so it sounds like you almost have to be in the know to get it. It's just not available out there.
I have an old man call me. Actually, I hope he didn't listen to me. He's 80 years old from Texas, and he actually called me 3 times yesterday. Say, I want your Spunding valve and your floating dip tube. Okay, so how you gonna pay? Do you take PayPal? No, I don't have PayPal. You take a PayPal to credit card. I say, I cannot take credit card. So today I have to ship him. You know, he live in Dallas, and my sister-in-law live in Irvine, which is like 14 miles away. I say, well, I can ship to my sister, and you can go over and pick up. He say, I don't drive. So then what I do, I'm gonna ship it to him with a pre-stamped address envelope, and he put a check in and mail it to me after he received it. And then it's really sweet.
Awesome. No, but that's a lot of trust, and you know, that's really really good.
We have a couple comments. So Kim mentioned about the sponge sterilizer. That's genius.
Yes,
it is.
Agreed.
And then Russell, our friend Russell, said that he also steams vegetables in Trong's device almost nightly. You can vary crispiness by how you put in the microwave 10 or 2 minutes. It sounds like it's just a whole. You can do whatever.
You can do whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And if you have leftover and you want to put in leftover and you don't want to keep it, you can vacuum out. You can suck the air out so your food tastes fresh in there because it has less oxygen. You can't suck all the air out, but you can suck maybe half of the air out. So therefore, You know, a lot of people tell you, you vacuum out. You don't vacuum everything out. You put the little hand pump, but you can vacuum at least half of it out. So therefore, you have less oxygen. So your food tastes fresh better. So tell me when I'm ready to drop in the second hop, okay, Chrissy?
So is your timer saying second hop?
Yeah, I know. I want
my timer, so you're probably correct. So
I don't think he has a timer.
Do you have a timer, Trong?
No, I don't. But I depend on Chrissy.
Yep, I got the timer.
You got the timer. Okay, yeah, we got about 5 minutes left, so we're
okay.
Getting second hop. So no, we're doing good.
Okay. There's a lot of cool, simple thing. You know, I'm not saying that ingenious thing because that's freaking so simple. But if you put together and make it work, and I explained it to you when as we go along, and if you do these things, brewing it would be like not a problem at all because you don't get bacteria in your beer, you don't get infection, and you don't get air in your beer. And that's the most the two most important in making beer is sanitation and oxidation, right? And the fermentation process is the temperature. You make sure that the temperature has to be right for the yeast to act correctly. So by putting in a Pot-Au-Brew, it's small enough that you can actually control the temperature easily with a different mean, whether mashing or fermentation is a lot easier, and the outcome will always be good. Now, the other component depends on the artistry of how you choose and process your ingredient, your hop, your yeast, and your malt, and that sort of thing. And that's where the brewer can participate and can contribute to his recipe. And what we do, we just offer them a way, a system for them to enjoy brewing and a way to express their artistic talent in create the beer that they like.
Brewing to more cooking. Because you're exploring the flavors and you can do other things within the Pot-Au-Brew, and it's such a small batch and it's so fast with the fermentation, and just you really are able to tweak things, explore the flavors that you can produce with it. And if a batch doesn't turn out quite right because the recipe isn't quite whatever, it's a 10-pack, it's a 12-pack pulling out of the kettle.
You know, I hope Brian, I hope that there are enough Pot-Au-Brew floating around in the universe that I can convince company like Sierra Nevada or Deschutes that actually come up with a 2-gallon ingredient kit that they, with their own brew master, created using the Pot-Au-Brew that share with the world, that they can actually sell, and we can actually sell it, and pay them a commission or whatever the percentage for their brand. The nice thing about it, not a lot of people travel all over the world and they come to the United States and they enjoy their beer, but when they get back to their country, they cannot have that beer anymore. But they can get the Pot-Au-Brew and they get the Deschutes Black Butte Porter Brew kit, and they can make their own. The same thing, like whether they're in Europe or in Thailand or in China or wherever. So that's, I think that there's an opportunity for that to happen. Another thing that microbrewery or brewery can use the Pot-Au-Brew because they're so precise, they actually can use it to do test pilot batches of new beer, because it's going to brew, they can brew everything the way they want to do it, all grain, partial grain or whatever. So that another benefit of having a 2-gallon Pot-Au-Brew for commercial microbreweries. So that's pretty cool. Now, Brian, you really should get the Pot-Au-Brew that I have right now. I don't say this lightly. They are very good. I'm actually happy with it.
Now that's the new lid and the larger Pot-Au-Brew, right? That's the
the thing what makes this so good, because all the components on the lid are actually welded on, so there is no chance of leaking, and it's so easy to brew. Like I figure out a way how to weld the component on the lid without warping it. With very important, because these things, the way that they sit on a silicone seal, you don't want the lid to warp. They have to bend certain way. And I'm happy to tell you that the welding technique and the way that we were able to weld the 4-piece component that make the lid perfect. Really, really good. Yeah. The whole pressure. Yeah.
You go first, and then I'm going.
I forgot my question.
Mine was, so you said all the Asian countries. And how craft beer is becoming popular. I am half Japanese, and I remember going there, and craft beer is really big. So
in Vietnam, and actually there may be somebody in Vietnam watching, because people send me some email that say, I'm looking forward to watch your thing. So this thing will be this brew along concept. I think will be very popular, because nobody doing it. Nobody could do it. They don't have the tool to do it like this. How can you brew together with somebody 1,000 miles away? In their own kitchen.
I think that's so cool about it is, I mean, in small space places like Japanese Asian apartments, even my apartment, it's too small. I can't have a setup like Brian does. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just
100%. I agree. I'm going to pause real quick, and now I remember my question. But all right, Trong, we are ready for the second hop edition. If you are.
Okay, I'll go in right now.
All right, 0.07 ounces of Cascade.
Yeah, Cascade.
Smell like Cascade. Oh yeah, fantastic.
Okay, let me go get my beer. I talking about being busy. I see because this thing it's a long time. I kind of worry that we might not have a lot of things to talk about, but we don't have enough time to talk about.
No, between you and me, there's no worry whatsoever. No, this is absolutely fantastic.
Okay, I'll be back with the beer.
Nope, you're good. All right, we're going to start the timer again. So that's our 30-minute hop edition. So, I don't know, Trong, can you still hear me while you're doing your thing? No, Trong? I'll ask him the question in a minute when he gets back, but I remember what it was. So I'll recap for him when he gets back. So, talking about the beer kits and things, and a lot of the beer kits that are done that you can get for homebrew, there are some commercial brewers that put together their kits for the homebrew scale. I'm pretty sure Pliny from Russian River does a beer kit that's a 5-gallon batch. It would be great if they could scale it down to a smaller, 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons, and that would really get it worldwide. Especially for those that Pliny is so hard to get. I mean, they don't distribute everywhere. It's such a cult following, and there's a lot of great IPAs and things out there, but that is definitely a very, very good beer. Bell's Two Hearted Ale from California.
I feel that, but I also feel like, think about how it is when we edit together. Like, if you were a hardcore editor that actually knows their systems, I think that is kind of a whole debate where, do you want people to be able to commercially just throw drops of whatever they want in a beer, and then suddenly you have the beer? That takes away from the whole, you know what I mean?
It does, but to be fair, any commercial example that they're giving you, there are so many factors that come into making a beer. If I brewed this same recipe on my 15-gallon system, it would come out different, because the scale is different, fermentation is different, yeast behaves different, the hop extraction is different, the heating is different. And if you take that and you scale up to like a 7-barrel system, it's completely different. And so they always take, my burner's turned off. Let me turn that back on. Stand by.
I think that I wouldn't mind if homebrew stores carried those kits and there was a kit. I just don't feel like people like Vinny from Russian River should give up his secrets. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think it'd be the same. Yeah. The beers never turn out the same. They're not quite the same. There's so many factors that go into it. But to your point, I can understand why maybe it's a little proprietary. And, a lot of the clone recipes that we see and we do, like this clone that we're doing today, is not something that I came up with. This is something that somebody else came up with. I've had it in my brew book for like 10 years, and we didn't brew it until a couple months ago. And I'm angry at myself for waiting so long. But there are people that have such a good taste and a good understanding of brewing that they can dissect and recreate the recipe on a smaller scale. So it's not the same as what the big brewers do, but the flavor profile that comes out is very, very similar, and it's in the ballpark. And that's one of the fun things about brewing. It's not, cooking a steak at scale, it's kind of the same no matter what. Cooking a beer at scale is a completely different ballgame. There are so many factors that change. It's organic chemistry, and you have to have such a good understanding of the water chemistry and yeast health and hop oil extraction and potential extract of grains, and every bag of grain that you get is a different extract potential, because it's a living, breathing thing. Not all grain has the same sugar content. The starch content is the last yield that came from the farm. So I mean, there's so many factors that come into it.
I mean, I think there's that fine line between home brewing and a Keurig. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
I mean, like, I think that it's cool, but for me, even though I don't actually get any of the ingredients, it is fun to know what the ingredients you're putting in, because I think that's a thing that's kind of lost is people probably don't know what the ingredients are actually adding and stuff, because a lot of the homebrew packs you get, just throw this in, mix it up. I think it's cool to know, like, I'm adding X amount of hops and like it's grain. Yeah, I don't know. Well,
and having the creative control to be able to adjust that and to kind of look at it and tweak it. And there are, and to your point, like a Keurig, right? You don't have to go to Starbucks every day with a barista. You can go. I mean, it's not the same, obviously, but you get coffee, right?
Or Dutch Bros, yeah.
Or the Dutch Brothers, whatever. There's something to be said for the professionals that do it with the right equipment. And are there shortcuts to do it? Yes. Do you get an approximation? Absolutely. I think going and doing the Deschutes Black Butte Porter, if you can get it on tap, is a way better product than what we're kind of brewing at home. Not to denigrate this at all, because it's super fresh and it is delicious. It is absolutely amazing. But there's definitely, the pros versus the amateurs. This is a fun way to get in and play with the flavors. And let's say you brew this beer and you want to change it. Maybe it's too roasty for you. So dial back the specialty grains and change the flavor. Maybe you want to up the alcohol content on it and make it a bigger beer. You can do that. You can make this your own and use the really good classic styles as a base. That's the fun of the homebrew. And especially, I don't have the best taste buds in the world. I readily admit that. It's probably because I smoke too many cigars and drink too much coffee. Kills your taste buds. But I still have fun doing it. And I love talking about and solving problems with the brew day and building the systems and coming up with ways to brew the next batch of beer. And I think Trong is very much like that.
Yeah, I think Trong
is he back?
I'm back here. I'm actually some reason out. Here's my beer. Here's the one that the black porter that I brewed. And actually, it's quite good. Actually, yeah. You see that? You see?
There it is. All right. Yes, I see your Pot-Au-Brew. Oh, you got your picnic tap on there?
Right. You see?
Let's see it. Oh, beautiful.
Like beautiful light. It pour without any tubing, and does it come out really nice head. And this is a great recipe, man. I have to say.
Thank you.
Whoever you come up with this. Now, I heard you guys chatting about whether my brewery would like to share the recipe. They really don't share. That you want to clone it. They actually clone their own thing for the people to brew, because they don't fear about competition, because people don't make the same thing. They don't have to make the same system the way they make commercially. But they create a way for people to approximate what they can brew. And let's say that people love their beer, but they cannot get their beer.
Yeah.
Because of where they're in a different country, and this is the way you travel someplace and you found a beer that you love, and you come back and say, "Man, I really wish I had that beer," but there's a way for you to having fun to try to recreate that. So before you leave that microbrewery in Belgium or someplace, you could talk to the brewmaster. Say, "I'm from California. I want to brew your beer, and can you give me some tip? What kind of yeast you use? What kind of hops you use? What kind of grain you use?" And they don't have to tell you exactly everything they do, but they say, "You just try this. You should try this. You should try this. You should ferment at this time. How long you age it? You go home. You kind of brew it, and you can never really taste exactly the same, because in order to compare, you have to do A to B tests side by side, and you only work off memory. So then you're having fun. You create something that's match what you remember, and that's all the fun you have, right? And if you have a bunch of buddies come to go to visit the thing together, you guys can come up with your own way of brewing and get together and share which one of these things tastes like the most close to what we remember. And that's the fun part of brewing, right? So that's what the Pot-Au-Brew, because it can control, it's so precise, you can do that and so easily. You can do it, you fail, you can do it again, you tweak because all the parameter is control. The temperature, the pressure, the sanitation, all that. And they come out like this. This is like, I think this is really good. Now,
it's a wonderful
I've been talking to you guys drinking coffee. Now I'm started drinking porter. So be careful. I maybe talk about some other things besides the urologic issues.
We have a comment, and this is actually going to be a good question that has to do with brewing.
Okay.
So the question was from Ben. How would all grain work in a Pot-Au-Brew? And I'm adding this. Is it possible?
All right.
I will let you take it. I will let you take it. Brew in a bag.
Okay, brew. Yeah. You basically you just brew. You put all your grain in a bag, and you heat up your mashing temperature in water, and you put the bag in there. And in my case, I just set it up at the mashing temperature. I put it in my oven. I set my oven at 160 degrees or whatever, and the oven is actually a very good mashing chamber because it keeps the temperature very much constant. And then when every 5-10 minutes, I lift up the bag and drain the liquid and put the bag back. So that way I can circulate the water through the grain. So when I get near the end, I want to make sure that I get the right gravity. I take a refractometer sample of the wood that I'm making, and when it's close enough, I take the thing out. Meanwhile, I heat up another pot of water in another pot, and I transfer that grain into that second pot of water to wash all the sugar that in my grain, and then I combine the two liquid together in my pot, my Pot-Au-Brew, and I boil and I process my hop, and that's how I do all grain. We do all the time, and that's pretty easy and simple to do. And the other end of the spectrum, you can do all extract too.
And it's Trong actually asked me for the brew day today. He's like, can we do an all grain? And I'm like, let's do an extract because it's our first our first live stream, and so we'll do extract on it. Maybe next month we do an all grain batch. Christy, you may have said the name, and I apologize. Who was that question from?
There was a question from I'm gonna look. Ben.
Ben. Okay.
And that was a great question.
That was a great question, Ben. Thank you so much for asking. Do we have any other questions, or
that's it?
That's it for now. Okay, very good. No, maybe maybe next month we do another brew day, Trong, if you're okay with it. And maybe we'll do an all grain. I think or a brew in a bag. I think that'd be fun to do. We have not brewed any grain on this. We've been strictly doing extract, just kind of learning the ins and outs. And it's been super easy with it. On my bigger system, I do all grain, but I've never done brew in a bag. I think for that would be kind of fun.
Brew in the bag is the way to go because it's all things considered. It's actually turned out really, really good.
It's interesting when we talk about brew in a bag and you talk about taking the grains in and out. And we did an experiment on this, and it was actually really, really cool. So we did. There's some homebrew lore, we'll call it, where squeezing the grain bag extracts tannins, and so you get an astringency from your beer. And I've read that and I've heard that, and it's been something that I've really followed. Like, you don't squeeze the grain, you don't squeeze the grain bag, you just let it drain, let it drip, and be done with it. But I've heard a lot of homebrewers talk about how that's not true. And so we really wondered, like, is that actually the case? So we did a video on it, an experiment on it, And we were shocked. They're actually, both of those camps, don't squeeze or do squeeze, they're both right. With the experiment we did a pale ale and we did a Russian Imperial Stout. So you got super light grains and then you have super dark grains. And so for the pale ale, the super light grains, when we squeezed that grain bag and we did a triangle test, tested 3 and tried to pick out the different one, right? We couldn't tell the difference. There was no difference. We had no idea which was which. And so we finished that and I'm like, maybe this myth is busted. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
And then we did the dark grains, the Russian Imperial Stout. Huge difference. And what we realized is that the darker kilned grains can have a tendency to leach tannins if they are squeezed too much.
I want to interject. All 3 of us knew which beer was tannin.
Oh, immediately on the taste. Yeah,
and
we did
JB doesn't even know.
He's like, so that is real. That is whatever that is. You're universally recognizable. Yeah. So the thing is, you don't really need to squeeze. The reason you squeeze is you can get malt liquid out, but squeezing alone does not get all the liquid out. What you should do is you should wash. You should rinse it, and the way to rinse it is because when you put the big old grain bag on your Pot-Au-Brew, it takes a lot of volume. So when you pour it out, you don't have enough volume. So what you do is you create another pot of a volume of liquid at about 170 degrees. So you transfer this back into that grain and you wash it. You lift it up and down a few times and you were amazed. You actually can measure the gravity in that second liquid. It's significant enough for you not to throw it away.
It's almost like when you're doing like a party guile or something, or you have
it's a party guile. It's a party guile system, but combined. You do that, and then finally you lift it up, you let it all drain, and you dump it together. While you do that, you already start the boiling process on your first pot, right? So you don't waste any time. So the moment you get it up, you put the thing together, and you let that bag that you left out sit in another pan somewhere, and that you actually can even extract some more liquid. The liquid begin to drain up that grain bag. So you add whatever you come out of the catch pan into the thing together. So you get almost everything, you know. And you don't need to squeeze. You don't need to squeeze.
It's one of those things, Trong, where it's like when you're doing like noodles or something, and like there's starchy noodles, but then if you drain them and like get all that starch out, it's better because it's not clogging up whatever you're doing. So
right. So you can do it that way, and it's really easy. It's just because you already have a pot. Every home have a cooking pot or somewhere. You can use any good old pot to create the rinsing liquid. Yeah. So this beer is real. Actually, I have another one if you don't mind.
Wow.
No, do it, please.
Look the way it pour, man. Look, Ma. No. Good form. Good form, right? Good form. No beer line. No trick either. Look, Ma. No trick tray. That's why we call.
Let me talk about the magic that you have in this, because I've used picnic taps before, and you saw our video that we did comparing like the 3 different kind of types that are out there: long hose versus short versus this. I did not understand looking at it like, how is this thing able to pour with minimal foam? And it's a Swiss Army knife because we use it all over the place. But the coil that you put in that neck that's like an inch long. There's actually a spool in there.
38 millimeter long, 38 millimeter.
Yeah, it increases the pressure, which keeps the CO2 from coming out of solution. So this is the equivalent of what, like an 8-foot long beer line?
Depend on the diameter of beer line. You know, if the diameter is big, that's quite long. If the diameter is small, it's a shorter line. Yeah.
But you're able to instead of having this long extra coil of line that you have to clean, it's all compressed into this little space. And we can use it when we're pouring off of a keg, or when we put it on the Pot-Au-Brew. I'm not going to pick that up right now because it goes right on the poppet. You can pour samples off of it, or even serve it like you're doing from your Pot-Au-Brew. Like it's done fermenting. You pop it in the fridge, you chill it, it carbonates itself, and then you can pour from here without a ton of wasted beer, because foam is a huge waste if you're not able to.
Yeah, look, this thing is no waste, no trip, no waste, and no trip, and no beer left behind. Oh, you didn't know that another thing that I just came up with, and the people love it because, you know, we brew beer in a small vessel, right? So we have to get the most beer out of what we brew, and which means that we brew as much beer in our vessel allow. And so in order to do that, we need maximum head space, so we can fill it as high as we can. So I created what I call a max headroom dip tube. A dip tube that allow you to get the maximum headspace in your thing, because all the gas dip tube is about 1.5 inches long. So whatever it is at the opening of the gas, this tube is the limits of the foam can get in. So I make the gas this tube only 1/2 inch long. So therefore, it get all the way to the roof. You can get all the way to the roof of your vessel, so you get the maximum headroom. And then you remember in the 80s they have a TV show called Max Headroom, and I said, man, that is a very appropriate name for my gas dip tube, so I call that Max Headroom dip tube, gas dip tube, and I gave it free. Now, when you buy a floating dip tube, you get a free Max Headroom gas dip tube, because I wanted to be people to remember every time they're driving under an overpass, they would see the max spirit headroom, and they remember, oh, I have the max headroom that I took from Trongs. So,
again, we're going to do a workshop, like seriously.
But
it's just
so everything that I do, I create funny name like no beer left behind, spun floated, and no almond cake, cheap and cheer, and then jellyfish, you know. But everybody, it's going to be a very popular name, because I think people already heard Trong. When you have your jellyfish available, you know, pretty soon, and because it looked like a jellyfish. You've seen it, right? So it's like.
And I think it's great because on the first version that I have, the housing is not transparent; it's opaque, right? So when you do have, and you're using it on the beer, and sometimes you get the crossing comes up, it overflows, and you end up with beer in there. I have to take this apart and clean it. I'm not always sure how clean I get it, so having it is, and thank you for showing. Great to be able to see the internal workings of it. You can tell, is it really clean, to make sure there's no risk of infection in future beers. That's
and you can take it out, and this thing is just like so compact, you know. This like, and when I first look at it, I say, oh man, that look like a jellyfish, and I said, such a lovely name, you know, spotted a jellyfish.
I was gonna ask
Mark
you,
me.
Jellyfish, but now it makes sense.
Now, this is going to be a very popular term. When people say that the jellyfish, people know exactly what they're talking about. You know, this is the Spunded 2.1 jellyfish. And it's a fun name, right? It's a lovely name.
Are you going to stop selling your previous version of it and only offer this one then? Or are you going to do both? Is this going to...
I can't hear you. You're kind of breaking up. Hello?
amazing. I do want to try his slaw.
South Slaw.
There you are. Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, Trong.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's our connection dropping out or yours, but we appreciate your patience, and everybody on the stream too. We appreciate your patience. This has been a lot of fun.
But this is the way it is. You know, this is homebrew, man. This is homebrewing. You have to deal with shit happen, right? Like, yeah.
So Christy was asking a question. She was asking about your original Spundit versus the jellyfish. So the original Spundit is you really can't get that anymore, right? The new thing is the jellyfish.
Is it like are you replacing the jellyfish and or is it Spundit, or is it both available? I guess
the new we in the process of producing the jellyfish. Meanwhile, people can always get the original version 2.0, Spundit 2.0, but you have to get it on the website because I can't afford to raise. I don't want to raise price selling it on Amazon and eBay. If I sell direct, I save like 10% of the listing fee, and I don't need to sell a lot of them. I just need if people want them, they can get them, and I want them to have it because that thing, like right now, we sell it for $71, but it lasts a long time. In Europe, they sell that thing for $135, and they sell more. They sell it more over there than the European people. They appreciate that kind of thing. In the U.S., people just buy the cheapest spunding valve, and it is not accurate. But when you think about it, the spunding valve comes with one thing that's very useful is the thermometer. Thermometer it gives you something to having fun watching it, and while you're brewing it, then you don't know what's going on, right? The thermometer gives you a way to communicate to the thing. Now, the thermometer also have a very value in the future when you link that to a bubbling counter, and the temperature, the ambient temperature, the beer temperature, and how fast and bubbling in. And you actually can give you a better guide to know when your beer ready. Until we have the ultrasonic densitometer developed, we can still use as a kind of cheap and cheer thermometer.
So for the ultrasonic beer density thing yet? Or process?
Yeah, I'm working on that, but it takes some serious money. I mean. I'm busy. I'm a 74-year-old guy working in the chip kitchen.
There's your problem solving right now. One thing at a time.
One at a time.
All right, Trong. Sorry, real quick. Our alarm went off. Are you ready for the 5-minute edition of the announces of Mount Hood?
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
You know what? And I forgot to throw a Whirlflock tablet in there. I'm going to go ahead and do that now.
Oh, I better do that too. Yeah, that's one thing I always forget. But
5 should be plenty to sterilize.
This is amazing. Two homebrewers just collaborating right now. It's so fun.
I love talking to Trong. Man, I geek out on this stuff. It's so much fun. It's amazing. All right, so we got give or take another less than 5 minutes to go. And the good thing too with this, normally on a homebrew batch, especially on my 15-gallon system, I got to chill it down, and so I've got water and ice and pumps and things like that. With the Pot-Au-Brew, we don't.
We don't.
Oil. I'm going to top it off with water, Trong, because it's set for 1.5 gallons batch size. We boiled off quite a bit throughout the boil.
Yeah.
I'll top it back off with some clean water. Back up to the 1.5 gallon mark.
No.
It's
better. Yeah, you better if you keep the water hot. So when you seal it, you sterilize everything. That is very important. You want to use the heat. Yeah. Yep.
That is a good tip.
Great.
Oh yeah.
It's so easy when you know that you heat to sterilize everything. So you have the comfort knowing that what you have will be sterilized. So. Put it in right now, and you have 5 minutes. You bring it as much high as you can.
Yep.
Can I ask you a question then? So, by boiling it, are you saying you don't need stir?
Yeah. Yes. Always.
Well, not for the hot side. So the star sand's important once you
I don't miss out then. I hardly ever use.
Yeah, on the, excuse me.
Yeah, because after that, why you need star sand again? Why you need star sand again? You know, the only thing everything is sterilized. You fermented this thing, and when you pour it, that's it.
Yeah.
When you need star sand?
Unlike the traditional brewing where you've got the hot side, which you don't really care. Once you get it below 180 degrees, is kind of the danger zone, or it starts to be the danger zone where things can get in and botulism and all that fun stuff. If it's boiling and it's hot, you put the lid on it while it's still steaming, everything is not sanitized, it's sterilized. Like there's nothing growing in there. You put that on there, you seal it, it cools down, so nothing will grow in it. It's almost like you're canning it, right? And canned stuff goes
like a can of tuna. Then when you close it, you can keep it. You can come back tomorrow morning, or you can come back next week. The only thing you have to be careful, you have to deal with the vacuum, the built-in there. So you have to de-vacuum it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You which your lid has a pressure relief valve so that if something gets clogged, there's no explosions. But that's one of those things because once it cools, it vacuums that lid tight, so there's nothing getting in there. So you give it a couple of pops, release that pressure, the lid pops off, you pitch your yeast, you seal it back up, and then put that spunding valve on it, and then you pressure ferment it, and it's a clean fermentation.
I've done that before. I just feel like when I then have to go in and dry hop or whatever, I'm always worried about contamination then. So I think that's my problem.
And I think at that point, by the time you're dry hopping it, the yeast have started to ferment it. They've changed the pH of the wort. They've added some alcohol to it. And so it's a hostile environment for most things that would get into it. And especially with beer, it creates such a hostile environment that nothing can get in there that will turn it to something that will hurt us.
Right. That is true. But also it's a competition. You see, even at that point, you have a few bacteria, and I'm sure you're going to have a few bacteria from it because bacteria floating in the air, right? Mm-hmm. And a few bacteria will get in, those billion yeasts in there will kill. You know, they have no chance of doing anything. It's a competition that will overwhelm. It's overwhelmed by all the yeast that already in there. Yeah. So you never have to worry about.
Yeah, there's really
about that. I never have any problem. Now I know in order to dry hop the thing, you have to depressurize and open the lid and pour the thing in. And now, of course, I feel being a former microbiologist, I'm always nervous about that because I teach my students sterile techniques in the lab. So I know that, everything is bacteria everywhere, but I never had any problem with that. And I never had any problem with oxidation either, because if you do pressure fermentation for 2 days at 5 psi, there's so much carbonation in the water at that time. When you open it up, the carbonation will come out of solution, so create a positive pressure inside the head space of your pot. And actually, I measure it. I actually use an optical digital oxygen meter that I actually measure the oxygen level in the head space before I open the lid, and during the time I open the lid and while I drop in the head, the oxygen level doesn't increase. The oxygen level on the headspace doesn't increase. That proves the point that the CO2 gas that built up diffuse inside the beer in the last 2 days at 5 psi, come out of solution when the pressure is low, right? The atmospheric pressure, the CO2 will come out of solution. That create a layer of CO2 gas just flowing out. Flowing out, so air cannot go in, and of course you do it in a matter of seconds, right? You open it up, you throw it in, and you close it. And besides, if any air go inside the beer at that point, it's no big deal because the yeast will eat up all that oxygen. The yeast will take care of clean up oxygen for you. Yeast love oxygen because they use oxygen to grow. So So even if you have a little bit of oxygen going at that during the active phase of the yeast, no big deal. The yeast will clean it all up. So that not people worry about, giving this hop injector and something air free. That's a waste of time. People don't really understand the process of how this thing is, how it works. Never is a problem.
It's not.
However,
and because you're serving it from the same vessel you're fermenting it, there's no risk of oxygen pickup when you're transferring it to another keg or anything, in the tubing, because you're serving it from the vessel. It is an oxygen-free environment, because even if you dry hop, the yeast, especially when you add hops, they'll ferment a little more. They'll take up the oxygen. They'll scrub it out. They'll produce a little bit more CO2. And because CO2 is heavier than air, it pushes it out. And so, again, you have an oxygen-free environment that you're serving from. Like the beer will not oxidize. It stays fresh.
The yeast will eat the oxygen
exactly
to make more yeast. Yes. You see, yeast will make more yeast with oxygen. When the oxygen run out, they start making beer. Mm-hmm. They're only making beer where there's no oxygen. So when the oxygen, the yeast will do on the mop up for you. So don't worry about it.
No, it's great. All right, Trong, I think our time is up for the beer. I'm going to turn my burner off. Maybe. All right. I'm going to go ahead and cap it. Are you ready to cap yours?
No, hold on. I need to take my thing out. Take my hops out.
Oh, that's right. You got that fancy little hop basket. Yeah, I didn't do that this time. Let's make sure that we've got this on.
It's always tough.
I know. Nope. Let's try that the other way. I should.
Okay.
I think you just need to take it back a little bit. Yeah, that looks.
There it is. And we're sealed.
Okay, now, so let me show you how I do it, okay?
Yes, please.
Yes.
So this is, this is hot. I take this, you see this right now, there's boiling hot here.
Yeah.
Right? So this is boiling hot, and I take my lid here, of course, I really cannot put it on easily because there's a lot of steam pressure. So I don't know if you see this. I put this down, right?
Did you put your spunding valve on there? Oh no, you put I see it. Okay.
I put this. Yeah, I put but I forgot something. I forgot to put on my CO. See, I have so much fun with you guys.
Well, and the porter was good too, so it's fine.
Yeah, I forgot to put on my gasket.
The gasket, yeah.
Yeah. So that way I feel a little weird. This Pot-Au-Brew, I have to say, I'm really happy with this thing, and I'm really happy with my stuff. So
we are too. We really love it.
It's been a lot of fun to brew with this thing. Oh yeah.
So now put this thing down. So usually you see this gas disconnect here.
Yep.
This gas disconnect have a 0.22 micron filter. So the air can go in, but the air will go in. It's actually a syringe filter. Syringe filter is when in the hospital, when they want to inject liquid into some people's vein, and they're not sure what the liquid is sterile, they put this syringe on the liquid before the needle. So when they pump the liquid in, the liquid will keep all the bacteria out. Not bacteria, virus can go through this thing. So there's no vacuum.
All right. Well, we will let ours cool overnight, as I kind of talked about earlier. So with the Pot-Au-Brew, you don't have to chill it down. You let it use ambient temperature, so you're saving water and things like that to keep it cool. or to not wasting water to keep it cool, rather. And then once it cools down to fermentation temperature, we'll pitch our yeast tomorrow, and then we'll let it do its ferment under pressure, and it'll be a delicious beer when we're done.
Yeah.
I think that's about all we have for today.
Yeah.
Trong?
So this thing, you see, this little thing here allow air to come in when the pot is cooling down. Instead of create a vacuum, it suck air in, and also suck air in, but that clean air, it's a sterile air because of the filter. So it's allow a chance for the wood to be oxygenated a little bit. So when you're ready to pitch your yeast, you don't really need to stir it up to oxygenate it at that point. And it's keep the thing safe from getting spoiled, even if bacteria go in, because the wood is, of course, is a very good grow medium for anything. So that is a very cool, simple solution to deal with that.
I mean, but without it, you can still release the pressure with the valve, but at least that keep things sterile with it. Let me ask you this, Trong, because we don't do this.
Yeah.
Initially bothered me when we were brewing with this system, but it doesn't seem to have a major impact. When you pitch the yeast the next day, do you whip it up? Do you do anything to put some oxygen in the liquid, or do you just open the lid, pitch it, seal it, done?
Because I do it because I have oxygen, clean oxygen here, and I would inject oxygen through this thing, through the liquid line, so it go through the floating dip tube, and so it's actually slowly bubbling inside the wood. You see, so I inject CO2 through the liquid line for about 2 psi for about 2-3 minutes. And then,
you or oxygen?
Pure oxygen, yes. Oxygen. I do. If I don't have oxygen, I open up, I whip it a few times. Okay. But actually, if you let the air go in, sterile air go in during cooling phase, you don't really need it, because the wood, when it cool down, it absorbs oxygen, and it's oxygen. Clean, sterile oxygen, because they go through the filter. That's a nice way to do it, and they're very inexpensive. This little filter, they're like 10 cents.
Yes.
Yeah, and because they use
like that. Yes, I got you.
So that's the kind of thing that we do. Leverage what other industry have, and this is 0.22 microns. Nothing can go through it.
Air, like it's filtering out viruses and bacteria, and nothing's getting past that filter.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That's simple. You do that, and you don't have to worry about that. Yeah. But so you're having fun. Everybody having fun. I hope.
Having fun. I'm gonna jump to the chat real quick, see if there's any other comments before we kind of wrap things up. I think we're at the end of our 2 hours. We're actually relatively on schedule today, which is really good, I think, for a first-time live stream.
Really is.
Anything to add, Christy? Or?
Oh no, the only thing is your friend Russell said that he is now concerned that you may never leave the kitchen.
Well, thank you. We appreciate everybody that came on the live stream today. This was a lot of fun. Trong, if you're okay with it, we can circle back later, but I'd love to do this again. I think we should do a brew in a bag, especially because we got a good question on that from our friend, and it was from Norway, right?
Yeah.
We'd love to have him join again, and for
the time that we have here, we could easily do brew in a bag. We could easily do the whole thing by brew in a bag at the same time frame.
Yes, I think so, and especially with some of the technique you're talking about. I don't know if I get a second burner. I'll have to figure that out, but I think we can do it with one. But no, we appreciate it, Trong. I just want to say cheers.
Well, cheers again. This is good. This is a very good recipe. You should be very proud. Yeah. I don't know where you got it. Yeah.
I may have you source the next one for the brew in a bag.
Okay.
Thank you, Trong.
Thank you, Trong.
Oh, bye, guys. I'm having fun. And I didn't know that we spent 2 hours here already. Wow, that's like.
With you, the time flies so fast. We appreciate it, guys, so much. Check out our other videos on YouTube. Please check out Trong at homebrewerlab.com. You can always email him at trong@homebrewerlab.com.
Yeah.
always email us at brian@benhambrewing.com if you have suggestions for videos or have questions on anything. Trong, we have to do this again, my friend. We appreciate it so much.
Okay, so right. Bye-bye.
Catch you later, my friends.
Bye.
Yep.
And?
Yep.